Hello, my name is Ben Flast. I'm a product manager here at MongoDB, and I'm excited to show you how to create an online archive in MongoDB Atlas. With Online Archive, you can automatically offload aged data from your Atlas cluster to a lower cost queryable storage tier to save on storage costs. Today, I'm going to show you how easy it is to get started. First, we will examine a cluster that has collections set up with sample data. Then, we will set up an archive rule together that uses the custom filter feature to archive data based on a certain field within a document. And lastly, we will look at each of the cluster, archive, and cluster plus archive connection strings to validate that the right data is in the right place. For this demo, I'd like you to imagine that we have a mobile banking application and we need to store data on customers for 7 years. But when a customer leaves the bank, we'd rather move the data to cold storage, as it will no longer be used by the application and just needs to be kept for regulatory purposes. So now let's jump over to our cluster. I'm going to quickly navigate into the Collections tab and take a look at some of the data. As you can see, I have set up a sample database called Financial Institution, and inside it I have 3 collections, one for accounts, one for customers, and one for transactions. Make sense? My plan is to use a field inside the documents in these collections to tell Online Archive that documents are eligible for archival. Specifically, I'm going to add a field archive true when I want a document to be archived. Now, I've already set this up, so let me quickly show you some of these documents. As you can see, I've already added archive true to a few of the documents in this collection for accounts. Now that we've seen the data we're going to archive, let's go ahead and create a rule. First, I need to go to the Online Archive tab in my cluster. Then, I need to click Configure Online Archive. Now I'm presented with a page that describes the steps I'll be taking and what exactly will be happening to the documents that get archived. First, I'll create the rule. Then I'll choose some commonly queried fields to partition the data on for optimal query performance, and then I'll begin archiving. Clicking Next, I'm now presented with the configuration options. First, I'm going to put in the namespace for the collection that I want to archive from, Financial Institution Accounts, and then I'm going to select Custom Criteria, because as we said earlier, we're going to use custom criteria instead of archiving on a date-based field. True. And then click Next. And now I'm presented with the Commonly Queried Fields tab. This allows me to choose a field from inside my documents that helps Online Archive partition my data for effective query performance, allowing the queries that utilize this field to select less data than otherwise required. And for this, I'm going to use Account ID. When I'm going back for regulatory concerns and need to query this data, I'll be able to use Account ID to make my queries better. Awesome. And now I'm given the confirmation page where I can review the details that I've set up here. I can run a sample query to see what documents would qualify for this archival rule, and I can go ahead and begin archiving. So let's click Begin Archiving. We're given one last chance to make any changes. After clicking Confirm, this archive rule will begin to take effect. So I'm going to go ahead and click Confirm. And voila, we're done. You'll notice that the archive rule gets created and immediately goes into a pending state. This is a state where the archiving rule is gathering required information about your cluster and hasn't yet started. Once it begins archiving, it will go into a status of archiving, and it will stay in that status until it has offloaded all eligible documents, at which point it will move into the idle status. Once the rule has finished archiving documents and no other documents are eligible for archival, it will transition into an idle state, like we see here. Now, let's go into the connection modal and see how we can connect to our data. The great thing about Online Archive is that all of our archived documents are still fully online and queryable. We can connect to our data and query it at any time using the provided connection strings. Let me show you how. I've actually already copied the connection string over into my terminal, so I'm just going to shift over to that and go ahead and connect. I'm going to enter my password. and then see what databases I have here. Great, there's my financial institution one. So I'm going to use financial institution, show collections. I see my 3 collections, and I'm going to do account on account. Great, I have 1,707 documents still in the cluster. Now, I'm going to go over to the archive. And again, I've already copied in the connection string, and I'm going to connect. I'm going to see what databases I have here. I'm going to use financial institution, show the collections. And you'll notice I only see accounts because I'm only archiving documents from accounts right now. So accounts.count. Great, 39. So it looks like we have 39 documents in our archive. And now I'm going to connect one last time to the archive plus cluster connection string. Show the databases. Again, financial institution correctly set up. I've got accounts. I'll run another count documents. And great, 1,746, which conveniently is the sum of 39 plus 1,707. Looks like our online archive rule is working perfectly, and we can access each set of data as expected. Thanks for taking the time to see how Online Archive works. We're looking forward to seeing what you'll do with it. Go check it out on MongoDB Atlas, and be sure to let us know any feedback you have at feedback.mongodb.com. Thanks.